Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week here on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week we've been playing Operation Tango, Resident Evil 5, and OK Golf.
Okay.
Not to be confused with the Oklahoma Golfers Association,
Right.
which is what comes up every time I Google that. Yeah.
Why is it called? I mean, I guess we'll get into it. I can't get enough of just nitpicking game titles apart on the show. That should just be the show from now on.
Just mocking game titles.
Resident Evil 5. How could they make a fifth one? No, wrong series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yep.
All that and more coming up.
We should do a little plug here at the top for our upcoming 500th episode of the podcast. That will land sometime early this summer. In the run-up to that, though, we're putting the word out to you guys. We would love to hear from you. If you'd like to call in, leave us a message, ask us a question, contribute some little something to our 500th episode extravaganza, you can do that at 682-999-VGH1. We won't answer the phone when you call. It'll be like a recording thing. Yeah. So leave us a message, and, we'll perhaps skillfully and creatively integrate them into the show somehow.
Yeah. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
Man, speaking of the run-up up to episode 500, we decided, because we don't have a whole lot of ideas for what's going on with episode 500, that we'll just dig into the old archive of intro music that we've used on the show over the last 494 episodes.
Yeah.
So on the way in, you heard... man, who better to get this kicked off with than Jake Kaufman, a little selection from his discography. And we hope you enjoy just kind of revisiting the last 10 years of VGH featured music over the next few weeks.
Yeah, we used music from Mighty Switch Force way back.
Oh, yeah.
From episodes, it says here in my notes, episodes 35 to 44.
Oh.
So that was... Is that year one? That might be year one, right?
That must have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
We were bi-weekly for a little while, so it doesn't quite plot out to one episode a week. But yeah, sometime around the 1 year mark, we were likely featuring Jake Kaufman on the podcast. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah. Had him on here a few times.
I believe you're right. I
mean, he was not actually on the show, just his music. He's a busy guy, I'm sure. It's tough to find.
That'd be quite a get, though. That would be impressive.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll show up for episode 500. Who knows? Who knows what we have planned?
You may know Jake Kaufman from some of the games that he's done soundtracks for. The Shantae games, I believe he's done most of those.
You may know Jake Kaufman from his video games.
From this podcast, yeah. He did the amazing soundtrack to Double Dragon Neon, which is one of those weird games where I'm not interested at all in playing the game, but the soundtrack's amazing.
Right.
And Shovel Knight. He did the music for Shovel Knight.
That's true, yeah. He did a lot of music for that game.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Like you said.
Too busy to be on the show. Even though we, just relentlessly call him every week.
Yep.
So we got the next best thing.
The next best thing is playing his music on the show?
Yes, just having his music and imagining what he would say if he were here. He'd be like, that's a song I wrote.
Who were you guys again?
Right.
Now stop calling me. Excellent. So thanks to Jake for not suing us for using his music.
Yeah, that above all other things is very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
500 episodes of this show and no lawsuits. I think, that's a sign we're doing well.
Not a one. Have we ever gotten like a takedown notice or any sort of threat of any kind of legal wrangling? Nothing like that, right?
No, not that I remember.
Yeah. You would think we'd remember.
Yeah. There's got to be, like, what's the statute of limitations on that sort of thing? We've been around for a while, so it's probably, we don't need to worry about that anymore.
It's all done out of love. Trust me, nobody's making money off of this thing.
Right. It's a parody. It's fine. We're within our rights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah. What else? Summer arrived here in Pennsylvania. It is 90 degrees, and I'm not ready. Plus, there's cicadas now.
gross.
It's disgusting. Giant bugs everywhere.
No cicadas here. I don't know if I've seen a cicada. I certainly hear them in Animal Crossing and any other games that take place sort of in like the Japanese countryside, because that seems like cicadas are just a much bigger thing over there. They love them. Yeah,
I think it's in the U.S. anyways. I don't know that there's it's the giant thing on the West Coast that it is becoming on the East Coast this summer. It's the
I did hear about this thing. What did they call it? The cicada
Brood X.
Cicadapalooza, I believe.
That is, yes. Get your tickets now before it sells out. Yeah. So Jersey's got it real bad, as if Jersey did not have enough going on. But yeah, there is some cicada action here in Pennsylvania. They have been underground for 17 years. And
what?
What? Have you not heard this? This is not a thing.
What does that mean?
Yeah. So there's I don't know, a giant underground population of cicada eggs have been underground for like 17 years.
For 17 years, bugs don't live that long.
Google it, DJ. Google is your friend.
I'm very skeptical about this.
Brood X cicadas. And they're coming out of the ground, and there's like bajillions of them. I don't know what the real number is. And I mean, they really just, kind of come out to make sweet cicada love.
But eggs don't take 17 years to like gestate or whatever. Like why? Yeah. What does the 17 years have to do with anything?
It's a specific like batch of them. Like not all cicadas take 17 years to emerge from the ground, but this giant sort of underground brood of them has been waiting for their opportunity to shine.
So they've been eggs for 17 years.
Correct.
I'm gonna have to look this up. This is strange. Right. Nothing takes 17 years.
There's I can't think of anything else that takes 17 years, just cicadas.
They made Duke Nukem Forever in less than 17 years. Actually, I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. So cicadas are a thing. Yeah. There's what's the thing in Animal Crossing? The little cicada shell, the little molted shell that hangs from trees. That is a thing that is currently happening.
I've seen pictures of lawns just strewn with those things. And I'm like, man, in real life, they're actually real gross.
Crunchy bug exoskeletons all over your front yard. Yeah.
Right. It took me so long to find one of those shells in Animal Crossing. It seems like it is not the case in real life. They're just everywhere.
Yeah.
Gross.
So yeah. My condolences to anybody who is on the eastern side of the U.S. as I am and is currently living through the bug apocalypse.
So did you catch all 4 of them? How many are there in Animal Crossing?
How many different cicadas? I don't remember. I'm not sure.
I remember it was always like, okay, I've got these 3. I keep catching the same one over and over again. But Tom Nook wants, or not Tom Nook, the owl.
Yep.
He wants the 4th one. And where is it? So I don't know.
Yeah. I remember really struggling with bug catching last summer and really kind of stressing out because the timeline was so short that it was like, oh no, if you don't get, whatever this bug is by the end of May, you're screwed. And they were so hard to come by, some of them anyway. So
you're going to have to wait another 17 years for them to come around again.
That would be the ultimate, like, Animal Crossing screw you. Just like, if you don't catch the cicada by May 31st, you've got to wait 17 in-game years.
Yeah.
I think even I would time travel in that scenario.
Are you sure?
I don't know. I've never done it. I would feel super dirty about it, but
that's like
I can't wait 17 years.
It's like the people who are collecting the zodiac signs in Animal Crossing New Leaf. Is that the right Animal Crossing? In one of them, they had like every New Year or every like Lunar New Year, they would give out a Zodiac themed item.
Yes.
And that would actually be different every year. Because
Correct.
there are, how many, like 12 Zodiac animals?
That sounds right.
But has that game been out for 12 years yet? It seems like that was the longest term possible goal in that game.
I believe that came out in 2013 or 12.
So it's like almost done.
So it's got some time to go, but yeah, there's I know I can vouch that there is a member of our Discord community, Creed8, who logs into Animal Crossing every year at New Year to make sure he gets his what is it, Lunar New Year little icon.
Oh, gotta get it. Gotta get the whole set.
I'm not even that hardcore.
They do something similar in Final Fantasy. Whenever the New Year rolls around, they give out an animal-themed helmet. And it's different, I mean, depending on what the New Year is. And I think I missed it one year. So I'm just like, oh, great. It's going to be, 12 more years before that thing comes back around.
Can you time travel in that game? Is that an option?
Oh, no. This one, you got to wait it out.
Oh, geez.
Or you can presumably just go onto the cash shop and buy it. But I don't know. I felt I was like, I can't believe I missed one.
Is it otherwise free if you play it in time?
Usually, how it works is they'll give it away for free during the actual event, and then the next year they will put it up. So you if you missed it, you can just buy it for like $3 or $4.
Oh.
Which I think is
$300 or $400.
Not. I mean, that's if you buy 100 of them. But
okay, gotcha.
Just like $3 or $4, it's fine.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a good way of handling it. It's not really an analog for Animal Crossing. There's not really a cash shop in that game. But
no, not yet anyway.
Not yet. Yeah, it seems like a real missed opportunity. Leaving a lot of money on the table.
I think Pocket Camp, the mobile version of Animal Crossing, is soaking up all of that. And they're just making just stupid amounts of money from that game that hopefully that will leave New Horizons untouched.
I'm just wondering, like, is anybody playing that still now that New Horizons came out?
I don't know. I fizzled on it way before New Horizons came out, so I have not kept up with it.
Just think all the Animal Crossing stuff you're currently missing out on.
Well, that was a thing. At least early, there were a few things you could get in-game in New Horizons if you had also played Pocket Camp.
Yeah.
And I didn't play Pocket Camp, so I was like, how do I get the things? And apparently they were pretty easy to duplicate early on before they patched out all the duplication glitches. So I was able to come by them pretty easily.
Nice.
Yeah. So I won't time travel, but I'll cheat any other way I can.
I mean, I don't know what my stance on duplication is in Animal Crossing. I'll just won't touch that. That's fine.
I wasn't printing money, at least. Just stuff.
You just wanted the thing. I mean, and nobody blames you for not wanting to play Pocket Camp.
Right, exactly. I have a perfectly viable excuse.
Right. Even Reggie duplicated those items.
What are we playing this week? Operation Tango, the aforementioned OK Golf, and a little Resident Evil 5.
Yeah, I decided I'm never going to play Resident Evil Village. I watched the part that everybody talks about. I don't know if you've heard about this part. I'm not going to spoil anything. But I was like, yep, that looks pretty terrifying. So probably not going to play that game.
I don't know if I heard about that part. I read a review that said that there was a part that was maybe the scariest thing that reviewer had ever seen in a video game before. And it happens, and I'm not sure if this is the part you're referring to, but it happens relatively early in the game. And his issue was that there was nothing that sort of approached that in the final hours. So it felt like
interesting.
From his perspective, that the game had kind of peaked a little too early.
I think it's fairly early on, like in the first half of the game.
Yeah.
Not like in the first 20 minutes or anything. But yeah, I think it comes fairly early on.
This is the opening scene, yeah.
Yes, it's just all downhill from whatever happens in the first 5 minutes.
It's the credits, really. It's just what happens in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've not watched anything other than the trailer, so I'm relatively sort of what's the naive to whatever happens in Village, and I'm still intrigued, and I think I'm maybe a little more bulletproof to scary things than you are, but
Yeah, it's not my choice of entertainment. Not my top choice. I mean, and also you actually intend to play this at some point, so I can see
Eventually,
why you'd be avoiding stuff.
I mean, there are a lot of games I intend to play and that have yet to manifest, but someday maybe.
Yeah, but I've kind of got like the Resident Evil fever, so I thought I would dig into the backlog. Should we talk about this now? Should we talk about like Operation Tango or something a little more current, or do you want to just get right into Resident Evil?
No, Operation Tango is a good idea. We can do that. That's
Okay.
And I think it's sort of notable because you and I both played it, and in fact played it together.
Right. All right. Just wanted to tease that Resident Evil a little bit. I know people are dying to hear about that game.
Absolutely. So, Operation Tango. This is a brand new game. This game actually comes out June 1st. We've been very fortunate to get early access to this thing, and it's a pretty unique kind of co-op proposition. It's a spy-themed cooperative game where one of you plays top secret James Bondish type of super spy, a person of action.
I'd say they're more of an Ethan Hunt, getting more that kind of vibe than a James Bond, but
yeah,
might be splitting hairs.
Yeah, that's fair. I could see that comparison.
Sam Fisher, maybe. Oh, without the giant assault rifle.
Right, yeah. Mercifully. Not a lot of gunplay in Operation Tango. One of you is a super spy, the other one is a hacker. Right. And you have to sort of rely on each other to be able to progress through this game. There are a number of missions in the game. We played the first 2, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That sound right? Yeah. We traded places a couple of times. DJ was the super spy once, and then was the hacker the opposite the other mission, and I was the opposite role.
Yeah, as it worked out.
That's how it works out. Yeah, and is that enough background? That's enough background.
I think so. Yeah, it's pretty interesting setup. It felt very similar to the We Were Here series, which are kind of like these asymmetrical, kind of like escape room-ish games. I mean, those felt much more like an escape room. These are definitely like you're breaking into a facility and like overcoming security systems and solving puzzles. It's sort of in that vein rather than...
it's very sort of... Well, I mean, they call them missions in the game, and it is very mission-driven. We were here, you're trapped, and you're trying to find your way out, so there's your escape room analogy.
Right.
In this, it's basically get in and do a thing, steal a thing, recover a thing, just like that.
Although, I mean, it's mostly just an excuse to set you up with all these, like, espionage-themed puzzles. It's not like you're... I don't know. It's not quite like Splinter Cell, where there's a very strong like narrative throughout the entire thing. Or at least that's not the impression I got.
Right, and it's not sort of swarming with patrols or anything like that. I think I was just sort of expecting that going in. I thought it would be more sort of in the Splinter Cell action vein, where you would be, kind of learning, like patrol routes of guards and things like that. But it's not really sort of part of the equation here. All of the kind of adversaries are kind of technological in a lot of ways. There's a lot of like, the elevators are locked down, and then the hacker has to kind of, find the correct node and solve a puzzle to be able to get you into it. And the puzzle inevitably is sort of contingent upon something that the super spy sort of observes within the environment, a secret hidden somewhere, that allows the hacker to get access. Things like that. There were a lot of really neat kind of codependencies, I think, that sort of evolved through this thing. There was one in particular that we were in a high rise, and I was the hacker in that scenario, and you were trying to get from floor to floor, from the offices to the science lab to the research facility, etc. I had basically a series of little kind of computer nodes that I had to sort of click on and look for relevant information. I thought it was kind of interesting that not everything was relevant. There was a lot of kind of noise that, as the hacker, you had to kind of sift through to be able to determine what was important to being able to solve the puzzles. And it would be like, I need what did I need? I needed the like the serial address of a terminal, and you were able to find that sort of scribbled down somewhere in somebody's desk or something like that, and I was able to plug it in, and then it opened a door for you or something like that. There was another sequence where there were drones that I could monitor the path of, and I had to sort of communicate to DJ when it was okay for him to move from room to room. So it was a lot of very sort of communication-heavy scenarios like those.
Yeah. It worked out so that like the operative generally has more to do in like the physical space. I mean, because they're the ones that are actually there in the building they're infiltrating.
Right.
And the hacker generally is like in front of a computer. Although it wasn't completely divided up that way. Like, there was definitely a segment where the hacker was like running around in the Matrix or whatever. I don't know exactly the reason why.
The information superhighway.
Yeah, they were just in like Tron running around. So I thought that was kind of funny. So it's not quite completely separated in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not sort of evenly balanced between the operative is doing kind of physical stuff while the hacker is solving puzzles and things like that. I think there was a fair amount of just trying to sort of suss out where you were at and what was relevant and what was irrelevant for both of us. A lot of it would be sort of you walking into a new room as the operative and going, okay, here's what I see, because I can't see what you see unless I have access to the cameras in that room and can sort of, provide an overview of where you're at and look for relevant things.
Right. It was very much like we were here in that sense where like whenever we entered a new room, there was just we spent a lot of time just sort of describing everything to the other player, and like same with the hacker. Like they would generally have a new screen they were looking at, and we just say like, okay, so I've got controls for this thing here. I've got controls for this other thing. Does that sort of correlate to anything in the room you're in?
Right.
Sort of stuff.
And you learn to communicate, as in we were here, in a very detailed manner.
Right.
As you say, I see a symbol and it's a circle with lines coming out of it. And on the other side, you'll see like 14 different versions of a circle with lines coming out of it. So again, be very specific. What kind of lines? Is it a big circle or a little circle? And again, through sort of playing games like we were here and now playing Operation Tango, I think DJ and I have created it doesn't mean we're really good at this by any stretch, but I think we created a bit of a shorthand.
I definitely feel like we had a leg up on
these things
because we played We Were Here, or like Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. It's a very similar skill set.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping like that the hacker would... I mean, I had different expectations for the hacker gameplay, I think, because the very first mission, I was playing as the hacker, and you're at this terminal and you have like a bunch of nodes on it, like you were describing. And I was imagining that like, oh, okay, so I've got to like know what all these nodes are and what sort of like functions within the building that they all control and correspond to, and I'm gonna have to be like constantly going in and out of these nodes to manipulate these systems whenever they're relevant. But it ended up being like the progression was much more linear than I was expecting. I think I went into the first node in whatever room you ended up in first, and then I did whatever I needed to do there, and then it kind of just shuffled off to another node, and I don't think I ever went back to that original one again. So it was just kind of like, I don't know, it was very guided and kind of like conducive to just getting you through the entire experience, which is fine. But I think it would be cool if you really had to just know your way around the entire system to some degree. Yeah,
I could see that, absolutely.
Yeah. But I think it's fine. I mean, the whole thing seemed more or less like, kind of like an escape room, just the progression of it. Like you start here, then you get out of this room and you go on to the next room, and then you solve the puzzles there and you go into the next room.
Yeah, I think from a stakes perspective, I didn't really ever feel like we were in serious danger. I think that was the other part of it that I thought was, again, sort of didn't quite sync up with what my expectations of, the life of a world-class hacker and super spy should be like. I really sort of felt like there should be, just a little more pressure to kind of get through some of these things. But it felt very breezy. It felt sort of like, we had all the time in the world to try to hack our way through a door.
That's just because the way it worked out is I was always the one who was like in the life-threatening situations, I think. Because I was the one getting chased by the drones. I was the one in the Matrix getting erased by whatever Tron monsters are around. Like there was
this is true.
Some like pressure in there.
So I just picked the right job at the right time, I guess.
Right, yeah. I really appreciated that actually about this game. First, that there were not as many situations like there were in We Were Here where you would just die if you didn't solve a puzzle in time, because that ended up being really obnoxious in this game.
We Were Here has a lot of like, the lava's rising, we're all gonna work faster.
And it's like,
it
doesn't really increase my enjoyment of like solving the puzzle, the fact that I only have 30 seconds to do it.
Yeah. I think that at least sort of in a spy genre, you would expect like I don't know, if you screwed up in Operation Tango, you get kind of an automatic, you fail and then you go back to a save spot and start again. And it was pretty generous with the save spot, so it never really felt
you
super
go back
punishing.
to a save spot from like 3 seconds ago, which was also great. No cutscenes you have to watch over again. Those puzzles you have to solve over. That's the worst.
Yeah, those are real right. That's a bit of a slight on We Were Here's progression, but But it never really sort of like, I don't know, cranked up the intensity. It never sort of responded to being attacked, right? I really felt like you're trying to break into this, this high-rise compound. If you trip an alarm or don't do something fast enough, we're going to deploy more turrets or more guards or more drones or just something to sort of like increase the intensity of the experience. And it never really went that way. It just sort of like, you screwed up, try again.
I was fine.
And that's fine. Again, it made it feel kind of quick and breezy, but it never really felt like the stakes were super high.
Yeah. But also, like, who knows how tough it gets in the later missions. We only did the first couple.
This is true. There is still more to this to experience. Yeah.
I think I would honestly be fine if it didn't ramp up any more than it like it did in the first 2 missions. Maybe a little bit, but I definitely don't want to, like, end up on mission 10 or something and there's just an army of guards between me and the objective. Like, it's not really the type of game I'm going for. I don't even like that in Splinter Cell, and that's like, that game is all about shooting people in some sense.
I like those moments in Splinter Cell. I like the army of grizzled Blackwater guards up against me, the lone operative with a silenced pistol and nothing else.
I mean, well, so let me I don't know, revise that. I guess I like the idea that there are guards there. I don't like when it actually comes down to like a firefight. I like to be able to like outwit them and sneak around them.
Oh, sure. Yeah. That was an evolution of sort of the modern, the more modern. There are no modern Splinter Cell games because they stopped making them. But the most recent, anyways, Splinter Cell games, it really sort of devolved into whoever has the bigger gun, which is not really in the spirit of the original sort of conceit of Splinter Cell, in my opinion.
Right.
But Operation Tango, nonetheless, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was super satisfying. I could see this being like a good, like, spectator thing, like for streaming or for other people in my house, kind of cheering us on and looking for, clues for us. I thought it was a pretty satisfying experience. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, so did I. I'm curious, actually, now that we've talked about only having played the first couple of missions, I'm just wondering how much more intense it gets in terms of like threats like we've been talking about, or just the difficulty of the puzzles, because except for like a couple instances I feel like we didn't have a whole lot of trouble with it, which again is, it's fine. But I'm just curious if, the last mission you're sketching out stuff on like grid paper or graph paper or whatever, or I don't know, having to decode ciphers or something.
I don't know. We clearly we're not there yet, but we should keep playing, DJ.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, I'm into it.
Cool. So this comes out, as I said, June 1st. It is a pretty unique proposition. It's coming for Xbox, PlayStation. I'm sorry, I have to be specific now. Xbox One, I believe, PlayStation 4, and it's going to be on PC as well. We're playing on PC. And the cool thing about it is that you can play co-op cross-platform. So if your friend doesn't have the game on PlayStation, you can play with them on the PC and etc. So
yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, it has a friend pass function too, right? I thought you dug that out of the notes. Yeah. So that if your friend doesn't have an actual copy of the game, they can download a little client that allows them to play along with you.
Yeah. I'm not sure. So that also works cross-platform? I mean, it must, right?
I believe that's what it said in the notes, yeah.
Yeah. That's actually, I mean, it's pretty amazing. So it's very easy if you are into this game to just rope in any of your friends to join in with you.
Yeah. Because that's the hard part of a game like this, I think, is if, you want to play with someone, but they don't have the thing, which is why, obviously, it kind of works nicely that We Were Here, at least on PC, is free or not or cheap. Operation Tango, at least, you can have a little kind of built-in workaround for being able to play with somebody.
Yeah. That's always nice that, when developers sort of acknowledge it. It's not always the easiest job convincing somebody to join you in a co-op game, so... Just throw this out there.
Yeah, because it does not have single player. There's not a way to go through this by yourself. So you kind of need another human being on the other end of it.
That would kind of defeat the entire purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. But cool. All right. Well, thanks for playing with me, TJ. That was a lot of fun. I like
it's cool
when we find games like this, and we've played quite a few of them. We played the Splinter Cell games. We've played Portal and Portal 2 specifically had the co-op campaign.
Right. We've both played Portal 1 separately.
Correct. Yes. And I think we're a good team. I think we're pretty good at these things.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, we are pretty good about these things. I don't know why I say anything other than that.
Sure, whatever you say, Randy.
Yeah. No, but I like, I'm not super up to speed on just how many of these sort of similar experiences are coming out, but I do like that. That seems to be like an uptick of them, or at least ones that are a little more noticeable coming out. Because I feel like those We Were Here games are not the widest known series. Yeah.
But yeah, those are a good find if this kind of thing intrigues you and you have a co-op partner at the handy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Totally unrelated, but I should mention OK Golf.
OK Golf. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. just said that automatically.
Okay, golf.
Okay, so before we get into it, what
Sure.
is the title about? Is it like just begrudgingly you're playing golf, or it's like just a very serviceable version of golf? What's going on?
I think that's the perspective. The little tagline. This is a mobile game. I'm playing it on Android, but I know it's on iOS as well. The little tagline on the Google Play landing page for this game says it's not real golf, but it's okay golf.
All right.
So they're sort of positioning this as kind of a distillation of the golfing experience. It's meant to be kind of quick and efficient, kind of pick up and play, kind of perfect mobile game kind of experience, and that you're not necessarily kind of getting into the minutia of a golf game. You're not really determining sort of like the speed of your swing. You're not sort of trying to select the right club.
Wait, what are you doing in a golf game if not determining the speed of your swing?
Well, there's like a little distance gauge. You get sort of the little line that comes from your ball to a specific spot on the green, and then you hit the button and it goes to that spot.
Oh, it just goes there? What? That's not even a game.
Yeah. There's some opposition. There's wind. There's hills and things like that. So it's not a perfect dead-on landing. It doesn't sort of stick like Velcro when it lands.
Okay.
So you do have to kind of account for terrain a little bit. But yeah, it gets rid of some of the the thought processes, the extra steps, the endless array of meters and things that some of the more technical golf, not even technical, that like Mario Golf has. All that stuff's gone. You really just are whacking a ball. You just trying to get it to the hole.
Just drag the ball to where you want it to be on the screen.
That's what was that game? That was the golf game where you were like a house and you had to roll it down a hill.
Yeah.
I forget what that was called. I like that game though.
What the Golf, I believe.
What the Golf? That was that game. Yeah.
I was gonna ask how this lives up to the greatest mobile game of all time, Desert Golfing.
Desert Golf. This has a desert in it, and when I got to that desert segment, I was like, "Oh,
the pressure is on here.
Some stiff competition here." Okay, golf. Yeah, it's a very different kind of product. I think, yeah, certainly Desert Golf. What's the Golf on Mars? The sequel are, again, a very sort of distilled version of golf. Those are 2D. I don't know if side scroller is the right word, but side golfers.
Side golfers, yeah.
Yeah. OK Golf has little like 3D golf dioramas. They're these cute little pop-up things full of trees or cacti if you're in the desert, or little water hazards and little bridges and stuff like that later on, that you're kind of navigating your way around. You can kind of spin and pinch to zoom and stuff like that because it's mobile. Yeah, you line up your shot and hit the button and it shoots the ball, and then you do it again until it falls in the cup, and you go to the next hole. It does not sort of present a lot of opposition. You're not going to be whacking away at these things from a sand trap, for 50 strokes trying to get a ball in the hole.
What happens if you go into the sand trap?
You
I mean, it sounds like you just wouldn't place the ball in the sand trap to begin with.
Yeah, but sometimes it'll roll in there if you're not monitoring your hills appropriately, or if the wind gusts get it. It lands in the sand trap. You again line up your little shot, and because I think the game sort of behind the scenes selects kind of a pitching wedge for you, you can't whack it very far from there. Mm-hmm. So you just kind of basically take the penalty, whack it out of the sand, and take your next shot and try to get it on the green. So again, pretty efficient. Doesn't put a lot of obstacles in your way to being able to kind of get the satisfaction of hitting a digital golf ball into a digital hole. So yeah, just kind of a fun time killer of a mobile game. I recently, this, DJ, our listeners maybe do too. I recently started a new job. I've had a little bit of kind of like downtime sitting in hotel rooms, and have been looking for a bit of a mindless time killer. Mario Golf, the new Mario Golf, not out until June, and this has, scratched the itch for a dumb golf mobile game.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're just sort of like priming yourself for that Mario Golf game. Well,
hope I don't get golfed out. Yeah.
Right. Maybe at that point you'll just be really itching for just something that goes beyond simply being okay.
Maybe something that's a little more sort of technical, a little more intense.
You'll be itching for all those meters. Get those back.
Right, yeah. I landed on this game because the devs of this have a new game coming out called A Little Golf Journey. I don't know if they only make golf games. That's kind of weird. But,
I thought it was going to be like a little better golf.
It's great golf. That's the next. They're really just kind of cranking it up.
Well, no, they gotta say something. They should go do like good golf would be next, and then they can do great golf.
But the proposition of A Little Golf Journey, their new game, is that it's a cozy game. They're sort of what's a good example of a cozy game? A wholesome game, an Animal Crossing type experience, where golf is the central sort of mechanic.
You go around and you play golf with all your neighbors.
I don't know if that's what they're proposing. It's a little vague in terms of information at this point, but I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. The trailer was brief and cute, and I was like, oh, what else have they made? And it turns out they made another golf game, so I'm playing that other game now.
Oh, are you going to get into that one? Was that next week?
I meant OK Golf.
Oh, I had it backwards. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay, next week. Well, now you have to play the other one.
Release date to be determined. I believe they're saying summer.
Oh, they're still making it. Okay.
Yeah, still coming out. But man, I'm all over the place with this golf stuff. But yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't come out right up against Mario Golf, because I don't know. There's probably room for more than one golf game out over the summer.
That would be tough. I think I would probably default to Mario on that one. It's hard to beat Mario, I think.
I mean, it's probably not coming out on the Switch. I don't know if it actually is, but you could play that one. You could play Mario on the Switch. You could play a Little Golf Story or
Little Golf Journey.
Little Golf Journey. I was thinking of the other game called Golf Story, I believe.
Yes, there was a Golf Story. Yeah.
There's no shortage of golf games.
There is not. Nope. So I don't know what my golf thing is. I think like playing golf in the real world does not appeal to me in the least. I've done it in the past. I don't mind a little miniature golf every now and then, but I am not the least bit interested in sort of taking up the activity of golf as a hobby.
No. I played a little bit of golf a few years ago.
We both know it's not a sport.
I mean, it kind of is.
It's an activity.
Yeah. I had a good time playing it, but it is just, it just felt like kind of an investment. I'd always just rent clubs from the course or whatever. Never got to the point where I wanted to have my own. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to have your own clubs, which I guess is a good idea if you play a lot. Yeah, it's a decision you have to make.
Yeah. And, I have enough hobbies, so, I will channel all of my golf curiosity into Mario and OK Golf and What the Golf. And what was the one on the Play the Vita that was fun? That was
like Everybody's Golf.
There you go, that one.
Hot Shots Golf. I forget what they ended up calling it.
Hot Shots Golf. That's the other one I always remember too. That's enough golf for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's plenty. That's so much.
So, Resident Evil, DJ.
Resident Evil. I got the Resident Evil fever. So I started playing this thing. Resident Evil 5.
Like the opening credits say, Resident Evil 5.
I was waiting for it. I was watching the intro, and they didn't say it. I was like, where's the guy who says it? And then I hit the start button, and they said it. It's like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's real. I forgot you had to, put in a little effort to make him say it.
Soon closely followed by the big scary man voice going, "You died."
They don't. Well, they don't say that out loud. I think that is just a misconception people have.
Oh, really? Okay. My brain created that. I just assumed everything that appeared on screen was narrated by the scary voice.
Right. It's like the Berenstain Bears. They never actually say "you died" in Resident Evil.
Do the Berenstain Bears say "you die"?
No, everybody just remembers that they did.
But
they
gotcha.
did not
Okay.
actually. No, don't know what I'm talking about. But Resident Evil 5, never played it. Huge fan of Resident Evil 4. One of my favorite games of all time. I think even when Resident Evil 5 came out, people were not huge fans of it. I mean, Resident Evil 4, tough act to follow. What do you even do? Had kind of high hopes for it just because it looked so weird and different. Like, Resident Evil 4 had come out recently, I think took a lot of people by surprise, really kind of took that series in a weird, surprising direction. So at that point, I don't know what the expectations were. They showed off this new game that was somewhat similar to Resident Evil 4, sort of in just how it looked in pacing, but they're somewhere in Africa. It's very bright daylight settings. You got all these hordes of zombies running around, or the not zombies or whatever they're called at that point in the series. Just looked like a very different take once again. And then they had the whole co-op angle as well, which is I think where it started to lose me, because I don't want to co-op through a Resident Evil game. I don't know about you.
I only want to co-op through Resident Evil games. That's the only reason I played Resident Evil 5 and 6 was because they had built-in co-op.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard. But you didn't play the earlier Resident Evil games?
I played 1.
Okay.
And I played that alone. I think you can only play it alone.
Right, because that's the only option. I mean, this is the first time you could play one co-op.
Okay, all right. I played 1. Which one is Veronica? Is that 2?
That's always a weird
That's a weird one. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain I played that. And I played the Revelations ones on the 3DS.
Oh, were those co-op? No.
I think they were.
Okay, I'm actually not sure. I didn't play either of those.
But I think that's my entire Resident Evil kind of experience. And I've attempted to play 4 because I know you're such a fan multiple times. I had it on the Wii.
The Wii is the best version.
I played Resident Evil 0 on the Wii. I did play that.
Nobody likes Resident Evil 0.
Oh. I don't remember if I liked it or not. Probably, which means I didn't like it. But yeah, I've attempted to play Resident Evil 4 multiple times, and I do not see what you see in that game.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, probably because you were raised playing Gears of War or whatever came after it. Probably didn't quite
I was
hit the
raised
same.
being able to walk and shoot at the same time.
Well, I mean, so this, I think, I don't know, Resident Evil 4 was just so fresh at the time. It still feels to me like, oh my god, why wasn't everybody just like continuously blown away by Resident Evil 4? Because it had so many new ideas, and that was before people thought like aiming and shooting was a good thing. And it's actually, so playing Resident Evil 5, I was kind of expecting, because I'm playing it on PS4, it is like not really a remake. It's just like mildly remastered or like up-resed from I guess the PS3 and Xbox versions. But I thought maybe they would add in some a little more modern control schemes as well. But it still plays quite a bit like Resident Evil 4, which was a shock going back to. Because as much as I like Resident Evil 4 and don't really have a huge issue with the control scheme, even though it feels archaic at this point. It was just weird going back and being like, oh, right, you have to like bring up your gun, and then you sort of, I think the default controls are you like move with the stick, and then like with the left stick, and then you bring up your gun, and then you aim the gun also with the left stick, because, you know, you're not moving. You're just aiming the gun around the screen. There's not even an aiming reticle. You have a laser pointer on your gun. So it's just, you know, weird stuff that has not really survived into the like modern era of third-person shooters. Well, I think like basically Gears of War came out and kind of set the standard for how those games work.
Yeah, I could see that. Absolutely.
But there's, you know, they kind of make an effort to squeeze in some modern controls, but it still like very much feels like playing Resident Evil 4 with some updates to it.
Yeah.
So that took some adjusting to get used to again.
I think there was a lot of, sort of vaguely recall, a lot of hubbub after Resident Evil 4 and the whole bizarro control scheme, that there was a lot of hope that it sort of would be addressed in 5, and I don't believe it could have went all the way everybody, well, not everybody, many people wanted it to go.
Yeah, I remember there being a lot more backlash around the controls in 5 than there were in 4. Because 4 really was just the same way that the previous games worked. It was just kind of a new camera angle to some extent.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so I kind of got over the controls. Like they're fine. The thing that doesn't really work for me, actually, so before I just get into complaining about it, because it's not going to be entirely complaining, I'm actually having a surprisingly good time playing this. Like I remember playing the demo for 5 when it came out, and it was like the co-op thing and the fact that they made a lot of other changes to just how the game flows. I think that felt so different from 4 to me, where I was just like, I don't know if I need this. But for some reason, going back to it now, I'm actually having a really good time because it feels a lot like Resident Evil 4. Maybe it's just like enough time has passed where I'm willing to see it in a new light. But it's actually like pretty fun to just kind of wander around awkwardly and shoot zombies in a stupid Resident Evil kind of way.
How do you feel about sort of the change of venue? I mean, Resident Evil games have always, in my brain, kind of occupied like a haunted house kind of space. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember Resident Evil 5, like you said, sort of being kind of a sunshiny kind of affair where you're not kind of in a dark and gloomy house often. Right. And you kind of lose the ambiance that you generally get from a Resident Evil experience.
Yeah, well, I was really curious how they were going to handle this because it's so different. Like, occasionally you'll go underground or something, but a lot of the time, at least the sections I've played so far, you're, like, outside in broad daylight, and, you know, everything is just blasted with sunlight. So I'm just like, how do they make this scary? How do they bring back that same atmosphere that they had in the previous Resident Evil games? And I guess the answer is they don't really, because it's not scary at all. I don't know if that's just because of the atmosphere or because there's just a co-op partner there the entire time. Which, like, I'm not even playing this, you know, co-oping with another person, which I imagine would just completely destroy any hope of it being creepy at all. But for some reason, just the fact that there's another character there, and also it's just much more action-oriented than even Resident Evil 4 was. It really kind of, like, a lot of the tension in the older Resident Evil games especially was like came from the fact that you are very inadequately equipped to deal with all these zombies. So there was a lot of question of like every potential encounter. You're like, well, do I fight this thing? Do I avoid it? How many more zombies can I run into before I'm just like overwhelmed? And you had like Resident Evil 4, especially, you were much better equipped. Like you had tons and tons of guns and ammunition to deal with these zombies or whatever. And in Resident Evil 5, it's just you have even more guns, or at least it feels like you are just meant to be mowing zombies down most of the time. So it's not that scary. There's not really that tension anymore. Like occasionally some guy will pop out with a chainsaw, and that's scary because he could just chop your head off. But that's more of just a weird kind of gameplay tension. It's not really atmospheric at all.
Yeah. I really only seem to recall things I disliked about 5. So yeah. I'm trying to sort of re-experience it through your eyes here. And obviously you're much more sort of educated in the world of Resident Evil than I am. So just kind of wondering about your perspective on where it sort of slots in.
Yeah. I mean, so here's maybe the controversial thing is we've sort of covered this. I don't really like scary games. I'm not a huge horror fan to begin with. So when Resident Evil 4, and in fact even Resident Evil 3 before it, kind of went more in an action game direction, I was like, oh, all right, this is it. This is the Resident Evil I've always wanted.
More machine guns.
Right. I mean, just let me shoot all those zombies, please. That's all I want. So in this one, I'm just like, that's fine. Just more ammunition, please. And I like how they've kind of, you got a little of this in 4, because Leon was suddenly like this badass secret agent. He would be doing all these martial arts moves on the zombies inexplicably. But I like that they maybe lean into it a little more in this one, where you've got Chris Redfield, who's all roided out for some reason. He just doing the 1-2 combo. You shoot them in the head and they get staggered a little bit, and then he just punches them and they fly back 20 feet and hit the wall. Meanwhile, his partner is doing these spin kicks against zombies. I'm like, this seems a little silly compared to those first 2 games where, you had 3 bullets and you couldn't move very quickly. But sure, I'm here for it.
It still had the dodgy tank controls where you couldn't quite get out of the way fast enough. Yeah, I
mean, it still kind of got that in this game. You just rotate slowly around if you need to change directions. but punch a couple zombies while you're at it.
Sure.
So I imagine that's something that longtime series fans were not thrilled with, but it's just Resident Evil has always been a little campy, so why not? This seems like a fine outlet for that sort of campiness. Because actually, so outside of that, it's not really the story and all the characters that you run into feels so serious compared to the past games. You don't have any of the weird, just bizarre dialogue from the last few games. It really feels like, a game that came out sort of in the middle of that PS3, Xbox, just everything's brown and HD era. Every game is trying to be a very serious movie. Mm-hmm. So those little moments where somebody spin kicks a zombie, it's adds a little levity, I think, to it.
Is this the one where there are a lot of quick time events where you have to push a button real fast?
So many. Yeah.
Okay.
I had forgotten about that. It was in 4 as well, but takes some getting used to again. I feel there was a period where games had tons of quick time events, and people just realized oh, those aren't fun, and they went away. But no, this is right from that era. Seems like
right in that era. Yeah. I think, there must have been sort of a belief on behalf of video game developers or directors that things like that made the games more cinematic, and they're really just terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of that may have actually been Resident Evil 4's fault, because that was one of the first games where I remember just that being so prevalent.
Yeah. Yep. And I remember distinctly the Resident Evil 4 would change the prompt between attempts.
Oh,
so
yeah,
that you couldn't
next
like
time
fail it once.
I'll be ready the next time. And nope.
Right, yeah. You fail it once, you see that you're supposed to push triangle real quick at a specific time, and then you remember for the next attempt to push triangle. But, oh no, they changed it to X this time.
Yeah. No cheesing your way out of it. You just got to do that stupid quick time event.
Savages.
Anyway, so I'm like mostly having a good time. I was like, oh, I wonder if I just had it wrong the first time I tried to play this game. Maybe the demo just put it in a bad light. But like between the co-op partner just making things weird and just other just sort of archaic stuff, there's definitely a lot of stuff that is still kind of not great about this game.
Yeah.
Like it was still in the era when like remember when like BioShock Infinite, and I think it was like, did that come out the same year as The Last of Us? They felt like they came out in very close proximity, and they both had co-op partners where people were like, oh my god, a co-op partner that doesn't just ruin the experience because they're completely inept. What a revelation. And like playing this is like, oh right, co-op partners used to be real bad at everything. Because they're just like, the AI is not great. The game will end if they manage to get themselves killed, which is, it's happened a couple times. That is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
I realize that would probably be solved if I was playing with another person, but I don't want to do that because that's not how I want to take in Resident Evil. So just weird remnants of game design from like 10 years ago still in here very much.
But you have sort of the luxury of being able to play it kind of outside of that bubble of criticism and analysis, and just being able, nobody's sort of doing think pieces on reconsidering Resident Evil 5 at this point. So
no,
you get to like just sort of like, all right, let's give this a shot. You know what I mean? Without sort of the social pressure of having to, think too much about it back in 2000, whenever it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's really bugging me, and this I actually remember disliking when I played the demo, is that like the inventory system is in real time in this.
I remember that.
And I imagine that's like for a whole bunch of reasons. Like, I mean, it's co-op, so you don't want people to just get stuck in the inventory all the time. Plus, it just makes everything a little more kind of urgent. Like you can't just pause over to the inventory screen, get the weapon you want while all these zombies are swarming you. You have to kind of just deal with everything in real time.
Yeah, because it just sort of overlays it over the screen while everything still happens behind it, right?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, and that may actually be the biggest shock coming into this after Resident Evil 4, because that was one of my favorite things about that game, is like all my, maybe not all of them, but a lot of the most memorable parts of Resident Evil 4 to me were those moments where you're just getting overrun by zombies, and you bring up the inventory screen, and it's almost like a relief that you don't have to deal with these zombies for just a few seconds while you're like going through your inventory, and you go, okay, well, I've got 3 bullets and 2 shotgun shells, and you kind of come up with a plan, and you like unpause it, you shoot a zombie in the head like once, and you immediately go back into your inventory screen and just think like, okay, now I can bring out the shotgun, and I don't know. It felt like there were so many more like opportunities to be very methodical with your limited resources in that game. But in this one, you just can't really do that. It's very frantic, and I feel like it kind of weakens it. It feels very much like it feels much more like any other action game, really, which right. I guess is what they were going for.
I mean, and that would certainly go on to be, part of the experience for any of those connected games. You know what I mean? When you play Borderlands or Division with your friends, you don't get to pause the game for them while you sort through your inventory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I remember some Borderlands sessions where there would just be these incredibly disruptive moments where, like, everybody would... I mean, you would kind of all have to coordinate, because otherwise it would just be a nightmare, everybody popping their inventory open at different times. But you'd, like, get into a big firefight, and at the end just... Okay, everybody take 5 minutes, sort all the guns you got, and just get all this sort of housekeeping out of the way so we can get back to the fun video game.
Yep, absolutely. There's Always somebody in the group who takes a little too long, and you're like, "Come on, Randy, we're all trying to play this game."
Somebody, and just call them out.
And meanwhile, you're sort of comparing stats on shotguns, trying to figure out which one is incrementally better than the other.
Yeah. You're calling yourself out, but I feel like that's always me. It's like this gun does one more damage than the other one, but it shoots slower. I don't know.
And it looks cooler, so there's always that too.
Always a very important consideration. So anyway, I don't know what my big conclusion about this game is. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm probably going to keep playing it. I just had such a negative reaction to the demo when I played it probably like 10 years ago that I never thought I would ever enjoy this. Yeah. I just didn't I don't want to play a co-op Resident Evil. Plus, the general sentiment was that it wasn't very good. So I just thought, well, that's fine. I can ignore that for however long. But now, thanks to Village, they finally got me. So, joke's on me, I guess.
All part of their master scheme.
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of hubbub at the time, too, for its slightly problematic depiction of Africans.
Yeah, I wasn't even going to get to that. But yeah, very questionable. The biggest white guy ever goes into Africa and just massacres everybody.
Yeah.
Not sure what the thinking was behind that. I'm sure it was I'm sure it was not malicious or anything, just maybe a little tone deaf. I did really enjoy this one part where, you spent the first 5 minutes of this game just mowing down all these Africans. I don't know what they're actually supposed to be. And then there's just this, you see this white woman in she's wearing a cocktail dress getting dragged away by one of the zombies. And I'm just like, who is this? This is just the most token sort of damsel in distress character. And this was just a really weird moment.
Yeah, it's pretty clueless. Clueless, I think, is the word I'm looking for there. Yeah,
don't know what the deal is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how much more I have to say about Resident Evil 5.
That's fair. I'm not trying to sort of destroy this experience for you. I'm happy you're having fun with it. And yeah, listen, I played the entire game beginning to end, despite all of these sort of nagging issues with it. Paid $60 for it and happily co-opted it with a buddy.
Yeah.
But not a great game.
No, I think that's why I'm going to end up on it. I'm like, it's fine. At least it wasn't super long. In a weird way, I'm just looking forward to playing Resident Evil 6 as well, which I hear is some people like Resident Evil 5. Generally, nobody likes Resident Evil 6, but I'm just morbidly curious to see what the deal is at this point.
Sure. And, in each time you finish a Resident Evil game, there's still more Resident Evil games for you to play.
Right.
So.
They'll be up to 9 or 10 by the time I get done with 6, I'm sure.
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
All
right. Well, you're going to keep at it, right? You're going to finish it?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think it's very long. In fact, I can tell, because this is another weird thing about it. This is the last thing I'll say. Whenever you finish a mission, and it's very discreetly divided up into little missions, which is very weird for the series. But it just sort of kicks you out into a mission select screen, so you can just kind of pick up at any point. You can go a couple chapters back and play it again. It was very weird.
I don't remember that.
So yeah, I think you can just go to the chapter select and see how many more chapters are left. So it's just one of the shorter games in the series.
Doesn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah, and it probably ultimately will be a good thing.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up then. If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, you should follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover. And you can always get show notes and links and tell us what you thought about this episode at VGHangover.com. We would love your input for episode 500 coming up early this summer. Call us at 682-999-VGH1 and leave us a message.
Yeah.
You could join us on Discord as well. Hang out with us. Talk about video games. What are we talking about? The new Mass Effect collection. We've been talking about that quite a bit. Talking about Biomutant. Reviews hit today. We're talking about that game. All kinds of stuff. So go to VGHangover.com and there is a link to hop into Discord and hang out with us.
Yeah. Tell us your favorite Resident Evil game. Or your least favorite, and I'll play that one next.
Please subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you can get a podcast. And tell your friends about the show.
Yes. Tell your friends to tell us about Resident Evil. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Do that.
I want it. I'm not going to play Village, so I'm just going to go through all the other ones. We want to give thanks to our special retro musical guests this week. You heard Jake Kaufman on the way in. We're going to leave out... Not leave out. We're going to lead out? What? We're going to end the show with a little bit from Big Giant Circles. You can hear more of their music at biggiantcircles.bandcamp.com or get Jake Kaufman's stuff at virt.bandcamp.com. That's VIRT. Or you just make it easy on yourself. Go get all the links at VGHangover.com in the show post.
Woo. All right, we'll be back next week with more video game stuff, believe it or not. Crazy, right? Just video games.
I
every
hope so.
week here at VGH, yeah.
500 episodes in a row. 495 episodes in a row. Not quite there yet.
Just conceptual continuity.
Yeah.
Yep. What else? This is Randy Dickinson.
Oh, this is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.